Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahabashai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, because those are the men who I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahabashai. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahabashai is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahabashai. And pretty much I'll be going over Philippians, the 2nd chapter, and pretty much that chapter goes into wanting to be like Hamashiach Yahabashai, which, you know, we all striving to do that, but we can never come close to that until we are changed through Yahweh, through Yahabashai, when we get those new bodies. All right, so when you come into the truth to the best of your abilities, you need to understand that you're a sinner called back to repentance. As much as you would want to be perfect, and as much as you would want to keep the law, and you know, you may get mad at brothers because you want them to keep the law as well. You know, we're both sinners at the end of the day. We need Yahabashai. All right, but that's still not a license to add sin to sin. But without further ado, I may or may not segue between the KJV version and the NLT version. All right, so we're going to kick it off in the KJV version. This is Philippians, the 2nd chapter, and as you can see the headline on the blue letter, it says, "Be like Hamashiach." All right, so here at Great Millstone, what you're going to notice is we don't say Christ. All right, it says Philippians, the 2nd chapter, verse 1. It says, "If there be therefore any consolation in Hamashiach." Now, before we even continue, one thing you need to understand is you can't skip over particular words. If you don't understand a word, it's all right to ask, you know, the apostles, the elders, or a brother of Great Millstone, right? You know, what it means. But more importantly, go into the word yourself. See, this is why we go into the Strong's lexicon, so that we can understand what exactly the prophet was trying to say. All right, so when you go into this word consolation, right, let's go into it. Let's let the word play.
Strong's G 3874. Paraklesis. Paraklesis.
All right, paraklesis. Kind of sound like it's saying, you know, like being paralyzed or something. Anyway, it says, yep, imploration, hortation, solace, comfort, consolation, exhortation, entreaty. Right? Let's go down here. It says a calling near, summons. It says especially for help, supplication, entreaty, exhortation, admonishing, encouragement. Right? Consolation. It says, let me make sure I'm saying that word correctly. All right, just give me a second.
Consolation.
Okay, I'm saying it right. Consolation, comfort, solace, that which affords comfort or refreshment. And then they give you some other examples and definitions and stuff like that. All right, so pretty much an exhortation, right? Because the headline says what? To be like a Mashiach. We want to be like him, right? It says, I'm reading again, Philippians 2:1. If there be therefore any, the any is referring to Israelites that come back to Yahweh through Yahabashai, and you have faith in them both, right? So if you turn back to the Most High through Yahabashai, you have faith in Yahabashai. It says consolation in Hamashiach. If any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any bowls and mercies, it says, fulfill ye my joy that ye be like-minded, meaning you got to believe on the same gospel and doctrine, because the elect will have the same mindset ultimately, right? You may have personal differences, you know, things that interest you according to the flesh on your downtime, on your leisure time, but when it comes to being spiritual, you know, all of us are supposed to be the same, all right? It says, having the same love, being of one accord, of one mind. So now let's read this in the NLT version, right? Philippians, the 2nd chapter, in verse 1. And now the headline says what? In a simplified version, have the attitude of Hamashiach, which the attitude of Hamashiach was to fear the Father, Yahweh, and then ultimately, what? Love your brothers, have mercy upon your brothers, right? Because we're in sinful flesh. Philippians 2:1 NLT, it says, is there any encouragement from belonging to Hamashiach, any comfort from his love, any fellowship together in the spirit? Are your hearts tender and compassionate, right? So you got men, they not really compassionate and tender towards their brothers, all right? They may spread unnecessary rumors, right? They just may assume something and then believe the assumption. But the brothers fighting like how you fighting. So you don't want to come in that spirit, all right? It says, then make me truly happy by agreeing wholeheartedly. So this is Paul talking to the Israelites at Philippi. That's why it's called the book of Philippians, right? It says, agreeing wholeheartedly with each other, loving one another, and working together with one mind and purpose, right? It says, don't be selfish, don't try to impress others, be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves, right? Back to the KJV, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, because we're not in this truth for vainglory. Remember, you a sinner called back to repentance. You broke the law, statutes, and commandments generations ago, all right? You've been sinning before the truth, and even in the truth, you're still sinning, which means that you need to have faith and hope in Hamashiach Yahawashi, that his blood and sacrifice covers you, and that the Most High, through Yahawashi, predestinated you as an Israelite individual from the seed of Jacob unto salvation, all right? So you don't want to have vainglory, all right? If you do anything, and the brothers do think is vainglory, all right, you want to do it for the sake of the gospel. This truth ain't about getting views, but at the same time, obviously, the gospel has to be viewed so that the end can come, pursuant to Matthew the 24th chapter, all right? So continuing on, and what I meant by that is, you might have brothers, they put a crazy ass thumbnail or title, that's for the gospel. Brother ain't going off. Even Paul talk about that, catching people with guile, right? You got to use the wisdom of this world and the examples of this world and be, have some salt with it, be seasoned with salt, right? You capture the reader's attention, and either the Most High through Yahawashi predestined that individual to watch that video based off of the thumbnail or the title of the video, and then they either going to be, want to inquire more and hopefully be a part of the elect, or, they're going to get marked by that video, right, unto destruction. So it goes on to say, yep, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves, right? Because you don't want to have the mindset that you think that, oh, like, I'm this great person, I'm this great man of the Lord. Yeah, you could do great works, but then you could become a reprobate, The Most High, he could take the spirit from you, so you got to be careful, not to slip into the snare or the trap of pride. Just always take the lowly seat, even if you have to suffer wrongfully. That's what I do. It goes on to say, verse 4, it says, look not every man on his own things, but every man also of things of others. Let's read a simplified version. NLT for that, Philippians 2:4. It says, don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Yeah, you got to know the mindset brothers be in, right? It's not just all about you. The world doesn't revolve around you. The world revolves around Yahweh and Yahawashi, with the Most High predestinated for the world, all right? And everything in it, and the galaxies, that's predestination. See, y'all got to understand that, You got people that's out here, they think that they can make somebody a part of the elect. You can't make you don't got power like that. Everything you doing is through predestination. You don't got free will like that, right? So when you talk about, the elect, salvation, that's predestination. You can read about that in Ephesians, the 1st chapter. It says, but take an interest in others too. Yeah, see what brothers is into, right? Maybe it could be beneficial for you. it says, you must have the same attitude that Hamashiach had, Hamashiach Yahushua had. Now we can switch back. KJV. It says, Philippians 2:5, let this mind be in you, which was also in Hamashiach Yahushua. So one of the characteristics of Yahushua is that he wanted to know the interest that his disciples and other believers had, even unbelievers. All right? Yahushua, he was a very merciful individual for his people when he was on the planet Earth. All right? You know, the woman that sinned, you know, he told her that, look, you got 5 husbands, but just sin no more. See, that's the purpose of grace and mercy through Yahushua's blood and sacrifice. All right? You got individuals that's, you know, they in the truth, but, you know, you a tyrant when it comes to the law. But then when you look at the individuals, like, I can see you breaking this law, you breaking that law, but, you know, you want to be a damn tyrant. Verse 6, it says, who being in the form of the Most High, right, in the form of an angel, because he had like spiritual power. He had angelic light power, not in the form of an angel because he was born in the flesh. He had biological parents, so excuse me for that slip up, all right? But he had powers that an angel had. He could summon angels if he wanted to do that, right? So it says, who being in the form of the Most High, all right, or a form of a God, an angelic being having power like that. Because how else could he walk on water, phase through doors, heal people? A regular human can't do shit like that. Unless Yahweh through Yahushua give them that spiritual power. Give them that angelic power, right? That heavenly power. It says, thought it not robbery to be equal with the Most High. So even though Yahushua had these angelic spiritual powers, he never made himself equal with the Most High. He acknowledges that he's the only begotten Son and that he's second underneath the Most High. Verse 7, it says, but made himself of no reputation. He didn't make himself of no reputation. Hey, everybody look at me. I'm this, I'm that. You're supposed to understand what the law says. Remember what it says in Luke the 24th chapter. Is it not written in the Psalms and in the law of Moses about, you know, Yahushua coming on the planet Earth? About the prophecies of Yahushua. So all these dudes that come in that New Testament spirit, not New Testament spirit, Old Testament spirit, they're parrots, all right? They're reprobates. They don't know what the hell they're doing. It says, and took upon him the form of a servant, meaning he was born in the flesh, there's no immaculate conception, and was made in the likeness of men. Exactly, everything I said. It says, and being found and fashioned as a man, meaning when you look at him on his outward appearance, he's a man. If he was on the planet Earth, he looked like a so-called Negro man, all right? A lot of you will make fun of Yahushua. Oh my God, look at his beard, look at his hair, look at how he talk. He talks so damn loud. Oh, he's tall, he looked threatening, right? Scriptures say that Yahushua, he was an austere man. You know, he liked everything organized. He liked everything on point, right? Because that's the will of the Father. It says, yep, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death. Exactly. Even the death of the cross. Wherefore the Most High, Yahweh, also have highly exalted him. He's the only begotten Son, right? And given him a name, Yahushua, which is above every name. Which is why I have this here, all right? The name Yahushua is above Yahshua, Yahushua, all them stupid ass Yiddish names. It's above Jesus. It's above, you know, Jesus and any other stupid ass name. Those names are stupid. The name that you should be calling upon as an Israelite that wants forgiveness from the Most High through Yahushua's blood and sacrifice is Yahushua. All right? So now let's jump back. It says, I didn't mean to click that. Shalak. All right, Philippians 2 and continuing on, it says, unto death, even the death of the cross. Let's go to 10, because I read 9. It says that at the name of Yahushua, that's the name that's supposed to be there, every knee shall bow, of things in heaven, all the angels, all the archangels. Yahushua is above all the archangels. All right, he's above every angel. It says, excuse me, Yep. And things in the earth, right? The people, the heathens. It says, and even his people. It says, and things under the earth, right? Animals, everything. It says, and that every tongue should confess that Yahushua Hamashiach is Lord, to the glory of the Most High, the Father. Wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, right? The beloved is the elect of the nation of Israel, right? The believers that heard Paul preach and they started to believe. That's who Paul is talking to, the Israelites at Philippi. It says, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only. It's not just about obeying in the presence of the men of the Lord. You know, the apostles of Great Millstone. You know, you got individuals that's like that. You know, you at camp, you know, they quiet the whole camp. And then, you know, the apostles, they may ride around a car or whatever, going to their camp spot. Now, you know, they want to make every damn point and stuff like that. Like, man, get out of here. You're not supposed to be obeying with just eye service and man pleasing. You got too much of that going on. All right? You're supposed to believe for yourself as an individual in the truth. A lot of people, they don't understand it. Then when the Most High challenges you to display your faith, now you fall out. Now it's the men of the Lord's fault. Right? Oh, these guys ruined my life. No, you wasn't fully persuaded. It says, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. Yeah, you're supposed to be meditating on these prophecies. You don't think you need Yahushua to come back? You only want Yahushua to come back on a Saturday? Come on, man. It says, no, you got they haven't done a damn video in 9-10 months. It's crazy. It says, but now, much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Don't you believe? Then get Yahushua say, occupy till I come. You can't do 3 damn videos a week. It's ridiculous at this point. It says, for it is the Most High which worketh in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Yeah. You know, to give us those blessings in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, from verses 1 through 14. The blessings of the kingdom of heaven, all right? The prophecies and blessings of being in that new covenant once we change out of these earthly bodies through Yahushua, right? That's the Most High's pleasure, all right? To exalt his people on top through his Son. It says, do all things without murmurings and disputings. Let's read that in the NLT version. Sorry for that dog. Philippians 2:14, do everything without complaining and arguing, right? That's stuff that women do. It says so that no one can criticize you. Exactly. What's somebody gonna say about you? Oh, I don't like how he, I don't like how this brother look at me. Oh, he act like this, he act like that. But what's his fruits according to the Spirit though? All right then. It says so that no one can criticize you. Live clean, innocent lives as the children of the Most High, shining like bright lights in a world full of crooked and perverse people. It says, hold firmly to the word of life. Then on the day of Hamashiach's return, I will be proud that I did not run the race in vain and that my work was not useless. That's the mindset you should have, right? Because Yahushua going to come back to reward every man, as it says in Revelation, the 22nd chapter, according to his own works, right? So if you lazy and slothful and lukewarm and you a tyrant and stuff like that, you're going to get rewarded like that, to be destroyed. So it says, I'll just read 18. It says, for the same cause also do ye joy and rejoice with me. Now the topic is switching. Now it's going into Timothy and this individual with this Greek name. Let's see how you pronounce this. There's a lot going on in the background, Salakia.
Epaphroditus.
All right, that's how you pronounce it. So it's Timothy and this individual that were disciples under Apostle Paul, right? 19, it says, but I trust in the Lord Yahushua to send Timotheus shortly unto you, right? A man that was raised and groomed by Apostle Paul in the Spirit, right? It says that I also may be of good comfort when I know your state. For I have no man like-minded who will naturally care for your state, right? Let's read that in the NLT. There's a lot going on in the background. Okay, verse 19 again, NLT. If the Lord Yahushua is willing, I hope to send Timothy to you soon for a visit. Then he can cheer me up by telling me how you are getting along. I have no one else like Timothy who genuinely cares about your welfare. And remember, this is an epistle that's written to the Israelites at Philippi, right? Go back. It says, it says 21, KJV, for all seek their own, not the things which are Yahushua Mashiach's, but ye know that the proof of him, that as a son with the Father, he have served with me in the gospel. It says, him therefore I hope to send presently, so soon as I shall see how it will go with me, right? It says, but I trust in the Lord that I also myself shall come shortly. Yet I suppose it is necessary to send to you, that's the other brother, that's what Timothy, a trusted man from Apostle Paul, my brother and companion in labor and fellow soldier, but your messenger, and he that ministered to my wants. For he longed after you all, and was full of heaviness, because that ye have heard that he had been sick. Let's read that in the NLT, right? It's nice to read the NLT, is more simplified, right? All right. It says NLT, Philippians 2, and let's see, Philippians 2:27. And he certainly was ill. In fact, he almost died. Matter of fact, I start up 25. 26, it says, I am sending him, right, this individual right here, whose name is highlighted, because he has been longing to see you, and he was very distressed that you heard he was ill. And he certainly was ill. In fact, he almost died, but the Most High had mercy on him, and also on me, so that I would not have one sorrow after another. Because Apostle Paul, he was going through a lot, man. It says, now we can switch back, 28. It says, I sent him therefore the more carefully, that when you see him again, ye may rejoice, and that I may be the less sorrowful, right? Have one less headache. It says, receive him therefore in the Lord with all gladness, and hold such in reputation. It says, because for the work of Hamashiach he was nigh unto death, not regarding his life to supply your lack of service toward me, right? So you got brothers that's like that, you know? They may go into an illness, they like, look, I don't want to miss camp. Look, I gotta fulfill this spiritual sacrifice, you know, to hell with my flesh. I gotta fulfill the will of the Lord. That's what's more important. See, these are examples of putting Yahweh and Yahushua on top and spreading forth this gospel and doctrine, all right? All right, I'm about to finish it off. NLT 29, it says, welcome him with Christian love. We know the original Christians, pursuant to Acts the 6th and the 11th chapter, were Jews that followed the Messiah. More importantly, Israelites as a whole, right? Which would be the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, our seed line, right? It says, and with great joy, and give him the honor that people like him deserve. Yeah, a man that's sick, he about to die, and he's like, look, man, to hell with my illness, even if I die, fuck it, I'm still going to glorify the Lord and follow my guides in this truth, which is, you know, the men of the Lord. Back during this time, it was Apostle Paul, right? It says, for he risked his life for the work of Hamashiach, and he was at the point of death while doing for me what you couldn't do from far away. And this dude actually reminds me, you know, of a brother that passed, all right, that used to be in the main camp, in the New York camp, all right, because, you know, he also was ill. He used to come to camp, you know, with a cane, and he still did the work of the Lord, and he always, you know, cared for others, all right? So that's pretty much it. Lord willing, he was edified in the spirit. Shalom.